Hi, good evening, friends. How are you today? Today is 30 April 2020, and it's more than 5 weeks in this lockdown. And I was getting pretty bored, so I thought to make a sequel to our last discussion. On the onset, I was overwhelmed by the response. To start with, let's begin with the few queries which came up. One was what basically it means for a currency to be derivative. Like prior to 1971, the currency was derivative of gold, which basically meant that a bank, if it had to lend money, it has to keep an equivalent gold reserve. So the flow of money was controlled. What changed after 1971? The currency was just a piece of paper. At best, it was a memorandum of understanding between the borrower and the lender. It got its value from being loaned on interest to the people or from the taxes paid by the people to the government. So the catchwords here are loan, interest, and taxes. With these three words, we'll try to make sense of the economy, how it functions, and its relevance in the current scenario. Let's take, for example, you take a loan of 100 rupees from the bank today morning and give it to your carpenter who makes a cupboard for your wife. The carpenter in turn goes and buys a bottle of wine because he wants to celebrate his anniversary with his wife. The wine shopkeeper takes a taxi back home to meet his wife for lunch. The taxi driver buys a box of sweet for his wife. And the sweet shopkeeper buys a bunch of flowers again to give it to his wife. The florist at the end of the day goes back to the bank and deposits the money. So what happened in a day? One obvious thing is we in this day have five lovely happy wives, but economy wise in this day all these five people earn 100 rupees for what you have loaned from the bank in the morning, and thus the 100 rupees generated a total value of 500 rupees in a single day. That's the beauty of the current economy. I believe some of must be thinking, oh, we know this, that's awesome. However, when we are in a discussion, sometimes we hear that some country is a huge economy, or we were a huge economy in the past, or we are going to be a big economy in the future, which basically boils down to the fact that the more that 100 rupee exchange hands in lesser the time, the bigger the economy grows. With the current COVID-19 situation, let's look at the other side of the same coin. Just in case today you decide that you won't borrow that 100 rupee from the bank, and likewise a lot of people around you decide the same, not to borrow the money from the bank. Friends, that is the onset of the economic crisis. So hope this made sense to you. It was rather simple and obvious, and that was deliberate because we left the discussion on banking, which is rather an important aspect of the current economy. But for now, you can take a break, pause it, and have a drink. Yeah, drink, that is what I said. To continue with our discussion, as we are aware that banks are basically institutions of finance meant for profit. Let it be a nationalized bank or a private commercial bank. How does the bank earn its profit? Now there are certain instruments, and a curious one is a debit rule, which technically is called a financial fractional reserve lending. What is this fractional reserve lending? Is that it is basically a ratio. It could be 1:10, 1:8, 1:12. The government is allowed to change this ratio in concert with the IMF club. How does it affect us and the economy? Let's take an example of a nuclear family. Why I say nuclear family is to better grasp the situation, how the banking system affects the family. Now there are interesting discussions on the foundations and joys of a joint or a nuclear family? Well, most of them leave aside an important aspect of it, which is the economic aspect. Basically, the structure of family is not a cause but a result of a consequence of the economic structure. So most of the time when we say joint family, we refer to the agrarian economy, and nuclear family is the outcome basically of the industrial economy. To have you in the example, so for now let's take you as a bookstore keeper. Let's say you deposit 1000 rupees in your bank today. The bank by rule have to hold, if it is 1:10% of the deposit. So it has to hold 10%, which amounts to 100 rupees in your case, with it, or give it to the central bank. This money is being held because it is estimated that out of 10 people who deposit money, one would like to withdraw it from the bank today, or a few people in different fractions would like to withdraw 10% of the deposit from the bank. The rest 900 rupees is allowed for the bank to be loaned. So let's say, for example, your son, grown-up son, goes to the bank and borrows that 900 rupees, who in turn gave it to his tutor for his classes. Now the tutor goes back to the bank and deposits the 900 rupees. And let's say his daughter withdraws that money. Now out of the 900, bank is supposed to keep 90 and it can lend 810. Now the tutor's daughter takes that 810 rupees and buys a book from it. And so you, being the book shopkeeper, get back the 810 rupee and you go to the bank and deposit it. So what happened in the day? Now the 1000 rupees that you deposited amounts to 2710 rupees in the bank ledgers. So the actual money is 1000 rupees, but the virtual value of money has grown by 1710 rupees, and so the ledger value of the bank, of the money in the bank, is much higher than the actual money that was being deposited. Money is the biggest motivator of our times. Not only did it create a virtual value, it also motivated the tutor and you yourself to offer your time, services and products. That was awesome. So I hope with the banking system we understand how the banking act as a catalyst to the whole economy. But in view of the current COVID-19 situation and the apprehensions which loom around in the horizon, let's make some sense with our example. Now for some reason you, let's say, didn't deposit the money with the bank today because you didn't want to or you didn't have the money, and for the same reason lot of people didn't deposit the money. Now just for example, you not depositing the money would have affected the business of the tutor and you yourself, because at the end of the day you got the money back by selling a book. So that transaction would not have happened. It also would have affected the learning of your son and the daughter of the tutor who could not afford to buy the book. So that was the implication that would have happened, just in case you decided not to deposit the money today. And so in a larger context, when a lot of people decide to do the same thing, the economy is heading towards a reversal.